Hi, I'd like to welcome you here to my channel today. I'm Reed Aronow. I'm a real estate agent with Edina Realty, and I'm interested in stock trading, options trading, cryptocurrencies, alt currencies, and local business. So on this channel, I'll be talking about all those things, and if enough people subscribe, I'll keep doing this. All right, here we go. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, a few disclaimers. Well, I'm passionate about financial issues and investing, cryptocurrencies, whatnot. This is by no means financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If you're interested in investing in anything I talk about, make sure to do your own due diligence. And yeah, you can't sue me. So here we go. Fortune from my fortune cookie that said this: your financial outlook is great at this time. I don't usually buy into fortune cookies, but it did actually end up being true for me. So anyway, went to see Kevin O'Leary talk. Was great, was fun. And then after he spoke, a guy named Steven Sikowski spoke, and he was talking about something called options trading. Never heard of it. But it intrigued me, so I decided, what the heck, I'll go take his class. He teaches options trading and as a way to make income, leverage assets, and learned how to trade options. Well, when this year started, my business was booming. I work in real estate, a company called Edina Realty. But, pretty quickly in March, stuff hit the fan, and I had to try to find alternative ways to make money. So I ended up, I've had a stock trading account for a while now, but ended up opening an options tier, a way to trade options. And with options, you can purchase something called a call. That's basically the idea that you're going to make money if a stock goes up, okay? Or you can purchase something called a put, wherein you make money if a stock goes down. And there's a lot more complicated stuff I'll get into another time with that. But basically, because I had purchased puts on the S&P 500, when the stock market actually began to tank, I was able to make money instead of losing money in my account. So that's something that, started this chain of events that was very, very helpful for my finances and kind of offset my business losses. At the same time, I invested in something called Tezos and Chainlink. Let me back up a bit. So if you go back in time a little bit, there was this thing called Bitcoin. You may have heard of it. Well, Bitcoin, started out small and slowly gained momentum over time. But there was an issue with Bitcoin wherein when the people who were part of mining, part of actually getting the bit currencies, disagreed, there was no way to actually resolve that, no way to resolve those conflicts. So what ultimately ended up happening is what was called a fork. And with the fork, Bitcoin actually became two different things. So it became Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So if you had held on to the original Bitcoin, it was converted to something else called Bitcoin Cash. And there have been other various forks that have happened as well. There's another currency you may have heard of called Ethereum. Similar thing happened. Ethereum, very popular alt currency, it's called. And actually, after a certain amount of time passed, same issue as Bitcoin, where, there was disagreement between the people who were part of creating Ethereum and an internal conflict which created a fork, where if you had held on to the original Ethereum, it's now called Ethereum Classic, almost worthless compared to Ethereum nowadays, the revised Ethereum. So how do you handle this? Well, a couple by the names of Brightman came up with the idea of basically a currency that's also democratic, wherein instead of mining the currency is increased by something called baking. So the idea is that the currency itself, by people holding the currency, that verifies transactions. So it's verified in kind of multiple ways, multiple places at the same time. And those people verifying it are called bakers. Well, if you have at least 8,000 Tezos, you can bake currency. Well, anyways, I'm getting long-winded here, but the idea is that if there's ever any conflict, it's voted upon by the bakers. So if there's any changes to the actual code, to the language, that can be revised based on a consensus model that eliminates the need for forks, while also creating a way where proposals can be made. So if you're a programmer, you can actually put forward a proposal with a certain amount that you'd get paid in Tezos for a change or an amendment to the actual currency, which is then voted upon by bakers. Well, this is there's been nothing like this so far. And earlier this year, actually in March, April, Bitcoin said that they will be partnering with Tezos. And they see the future of Bitcoin as connected to this idea of democratic currency. Meanwhile, there is another currency called Chainlink. Chainlink, how do I break this down? So Chainlink is the idea that you can transfer any currency, dollars, euros, what have you, to any kind of bit currency, any type of value, gold, through something called the chain, or Chainlink, which is it verifies transactions securely with no fee. So if this were to actually work, this would create a way for you to transfer between different types of currency, any type, without a fee, securely, getting rid of the need for wiring, money. A lot of what banks do could potentially be replaced by Chainlink. Well, in March this year, actually April 2020, Tezos came up with an alliance with Chainlink, whereby the democratic currency Tezos will see its future as having verification of transfer of funds or exchange of funds done through the secure chain. So you have Bitcoin connecting with Tezos, connecting with Chainlink. So earlier this year, I just bought a little bit, speculatively, of Tezos and Chainlink. It's up about 70%, but I think this is kind of a long-term bet, like 3 to 5 years out. It could fail. Honestly, a lot of these alternative currencies fail, but if it were actually to succeed, it could monumentally change the way that we do business. It could revolutionize how banking is done. So I think that's something you should look into. Now, I'll be talking more in other videos if people are interested in more detail about Tezos, how to actually bake currency, what that means, and a little bit more about Chainlink as well. If that interests you, you can subscribe, and you can let me know if this is something that you'd like to hear more about. Again, I'm Reed Aronow, and thank you for visiting my channel. Farewell.